So over this weekend, me and my brother decided to visit a Hindu yoga ashram. It was about 2 hours away from where we live in this rural, mountainous area with little to no service. And while we were there, I took a bunch of pictures and videos of our time there and the stuff that was going on, what we were doing, and the types of people that were there. And I figured that I could share that in this video in a collage type way, just to show you guys our visit to this ashram and what it was like. And after the collage, I will probably include a video afterwards of me describing my experience there and what I thought of it, what I took out of it, and whatnot. So please enjoy this collage of me and my brother's visit to the Satmanav Yoga Ashram out in Maine.
How are you feeling?
I've wanted to go to an ashram for a while now, really ever since I got into Eastern spirituality, Buddhism, Hinduism, and those types of things, the things that actually, have ashrams in their religious communities. Ever since I really found out about those, I've always thought it would be a cool idea to, first of all, live there, a community, living in a community that is entirely based around and focused on spirituality, self-awareness, self-realization, and just honoring the experience that you're having. But I wasn't ready to go live at an ashram. It was just a cool idea. And I'd say about a month ago, I just for some reason I looked up online ashrams in Maine, which is the state that I live in, and this ashram, Satmanav Yoga Ashram, was the first one to pop up. And I didn't even think that there were ashrams in Maine, like this country, let alone my home state. Like, I thought it was a different country type practice to have an ashram, you know what I mean? But nope, I saw that about 2 hours away from where I live, in this cool wilderness area with, no service, no power lines, not really any houses around it. There was this ashram, and they practiced yoga. And at the time, I really, I was like, is it, because my misconception towards yoga is that it's just exercise, bodily positions. But from what you've seen in the collage that I shared, and what I took from it personally, I realized that, like, I have a misunderstanding of the word yoga, and because not once while I was there was I doing what I thought yoga was, like bodily positions and breath work and stuff. Basically, the whole time we were there, it was spent singing and chanting, and there was a little period that we were there. I didn't get a clip of this because it was when we just got there. It was the philosophy of yoga. It was like a classic lecture style environment. Me and my brother walked into this room, and this dimly lit room, and there's this big circle of people sitting on pillows, and this one yogi sitting up front with dreads wrapped around his head, and he's sitting there talking. And we walked in and sat down and was just listening to that, and that was pretty interesting. Not only because it was my first time being in that type of like lecture environment, I kind of felt like I was listening to like Alan Watts or Ram Dass or Terence McKenna or something like that, the lectures that I listened to, but also just what he was talking about. It was really cool that there was another being in front of me, so conscious, so aware of pain and suffering and himself and what he can do about that, and that he's here telling all these people about it. It was just a cool feeling. And I had never been in a setting like that where there's this one person, like just a lecture setting, and what that lecture was based around, made it that much more awesome and impactful. And that was the first thing we did, was have that lecture on the philosophy of yoga. And then after that, we went on this like we went on this walk up through the woods of like a single file line of like 30 people, and there were like these bells being played and this like seashell horn that this woman kept blowing, and I thought that was pretty cool because how the hell does a seashell make that kind of sound, you know what I mean? And it was just this really loud like woo, and it would echo through the woods. And when we all got to the top of the mountain that we were walking to, or the hill or whatever, there was this like built into the mountain, or the ledge up there was this big structure, and there was the biggest like bell or gong, I don't know what it was, thing that I've ever seen, and it had this big mallet or thing that you'd hit it with, and it made this just completely baritone, intense reverberation through the woods, and it was like like some friggin' like you have arrived at the Zen monastery, or just this crazy cool sound that it gave off. And we went around and everybody hit that gong or whatever it was, and they were all singing and dancing. And after that, we trailed further off the trail, and it brought us to this little shack, this tiny little shack. And I just see tons of people start trailing into that little building, and I didn't know what was going on. And I walk up, and somebody goes like this to me, like go in. And I look in there, and it's this friggin' like, the roof of the building is probably like 5 feet tall, and there's 2 benches on each side. And I walked in, and it was like packed with people, probably like 10, 12 people in this tiny little building. And there's like Hindu statues of Hindu gods, and like that thing that Hindus or bhaktis or something like pour milk over, and there were like the flowers necklaces and stuff, and this little thing that they were lighting and like going like this with the smoke, getting the smoke all over them, and they were singing this chant really loud, like straight up yelling this chant, and just the intensity of the situation, it got me really jazzed up. Like I couldn't really follow the chant because, you know, I joked about this with my brother. I spent like 80% of the time in there trying to learn the lyrics of the chant that they're all singing, you know, and I'm looking around and everybody's like got their eyes shut and singing this song and like going like this and stuff, and it was just a very far out activity going on. I had never been around something like that, but it was cool. It felt close to home. It felt familiar. Just this vibe of you know, me and my brother were the youngest ones there. There were like adults that had brought their kids, but it was just like straight up adults there. And somebody at one point, this is a little off topic, but somebody asked, you know, you guys are pretty young, you know, what brings you here? And I had mentioned psychedelics to somebody at the ashram earlier, and he kind of looked at me like I had 4 eyes. And then this guy asked me again, you know, what brings you here? What got you into all this? And I said to him, you know, not to be frank, but, you know, taking psychedelics, and he looks around and he leans in and he's like, me too. And, and I thought that was pretty funny. But after we all sung in that little tiny building, we came out and we all continued trailing back down the mountain to where did we go? Okay, there's footage of where we went to that what you saw earlier, that little building with the fire in the middle and all the yogis sitting in there playing instruments and stuff. That's where we went to next. We all sat down on these benches, and they began another chant, or what's known as a puja ceremony. And what they were singing was a mantra that, I don't know if they created it or just use it, but they've used it since they founded that ashram in 1988. It's Om Narbhavi Swaha, which means goodness is manifest in all beings. And that's what they began chanting for about an hour straight. And we're all just sitting there. And there was this thing going on where you could walk up to this little shack that they're chanting in, and you could kneel down. And there was that fire thing going on. You could kneel down, make a prayer to, you know, a moment of silence or a vow or whatever you're doing there. And you could grab a handful of rice and throw it into the fire. And this woman or yogini would like paint this little dot on your forehead, like a red and white dot on your forehead. And I had seen that in, you know, like just different Hindu culture pictures and stuff that I've seen before. You know, I've seen that dot, and it made me wonder, like, did I just do that ceremony that they did to get that they get that dot painted on their head? You know, it was just a cool feeling being in that environment. And it was after that ceremony, which went on for about, like I said, an hour long, because everybody ran through and did the prayer and had the thing painted on their ajna, or the third eye, which is, you know, that's why they're putting it there. This is something I learned, that I think they put that there because when it dries, it turns into a crust, and you can feel it tightening the skin on your forehead, and it's a point of focus. You use it as a mantra, a point of focus on the third eye area. But that's besides what I was talking about. That chanting ceremony was the last thing me and my brother were there for. After that, it was about 4 o'clock, and we were 2 hours away from home, so we wanted to get going. But all I can say is that place was exhilarating. It was cool. It was very cool to, you know, I said this to somebody that was there. In the same way you know, learn about Buddhism, learn about meditation, learn about psychedelics, compared to actually, doing it. There's a difference between learning about meditation and finally just sitting down and meditating. There's a difference between learning about psychedelics and finally going on a psychedelic trip. And to me, it was that same difference. There's a difference between learning about Hindu culture, Buddhist culture, Eastern culture, philosophy. There's a difference between learning about all that stuff and then putting yourself there. And I considered that going to this ashram, was like a next level journeying or exploring on my part in regards to Eastern philosophy, Eastern mysticism, Hinduism, Buddhism. And I don't regret it whatsoever visiting the ashram. I feel like I've, witnessed those types of beings now, and I definitely will be going back. What we went to was a festival, and there was all this stuff going on, but I want to go back and just visit, just be there. And I think that will make for a cool time, and I will probably take footage of it the next time I go as well. So that's it for this video, visiting the Satmanav Yoga Ashram. My first time ever visiting an ashram. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will be back with more. Thank you.